Hello, in this video some glamour, a neat design, some reflections and a look at some important buildings. The glamour is courtesy of the ocean liner Queen Mary. This elegant ship ceased passenger service in 1967, is now moored in retirement at Long Beach, California, a tourist attraction with a hotel and restaurants. She made a maiden voyage from Southampton to New York in 1936, at the time the largest and the fastest passenger liner in the world, the flagship of the Cunard White Star Line. And the decor is opulent, sophisticated Art Deco. Over 50 types of wood, most highly polished, earn the nickname the Ship of Wood. And Cunard commissioned leading artists to create decorative detail. This marquetry mural is in the Grand Salon. And this is one of the Queen Mary cabins and the observation bar. Now it's an Englishman, Robert Crawford Johnson, who designed the Cube tea service, specifically for use on board ships. It is just so practical. It's chip resistant. There is no projecting handles or spouts to break off. And for mass catering, it's easy to stack. And it's very stable. You don't want scalding liquid spilling if a ship rolls. It went into production in the 1920s, initially made by Arthur Wood of Stoke-on-Trent, but later it was made under licence by other companies, including Wedgwood, and this was made by T.G. Green of Church Gresley. This cube teapot was made by Foley China for the Queen Mary, and Foley also made this set for Cunard. And you could get sets in silver made by Napa and Davenport of Birmingham. And the question to ask of all teapots is, how do they pour? Do they drip? Well, these pour perfectly. In part one, I said the outbreak of war puts an end to Art Deco. But of course these things are cyclical, and there was a significant revival that began in the 1960s. And the term Art Deco, only coined in 1966 by Beavis Hillier, a really useful umbrella term for all those separate style labels, zigzag, streamline, modern, that are all part of Art Deco. And it's very difficult to find a precise definition for Art Deco, particularly where it shades and overlaps into modernism. A revival, but as much more part of a more eclectic popular culture, not the dominant international style that it was in the 1920s and 30s. And in the 1970s, much of Fashion Store Bieber's publicity was Art Deco in style, very much in keeping with its surroundings in the former Derry and Tom's store in Kensington High Street. We saw a section of the original frieze by Walter Gilbert in part one, a stylised jungle with a fountain. And for collectors of Art Deco at that time, particularly ceramics, it was plentiful and it was inexpensive. And with an estimated 8 million pieces of Clarice Cliff pottery sold, there was plenty to be found. Now, of course, it commands premium prices. And a recognition of the value of the architecture of the period came in 1970. And the government announced that around 50 buildings dating from 1914 and 1939 were to be given listed status as of special architectural interest and importance. And I think you do need to be objective. You need that gap of time to look back and see a period in context. On that list were Charles Holden's stations for London Underground at Arnos Grove, Sudbury Town, Southgate and Oakwood. And 2 buildings belonging to Boots of Beeston in Nottingham, both designed by Sir Evan Owen Williams. There was building D10, dates to 1932, and this was known as the Dries Factory, It's where the tablets and lozenges were manufactured, and we can see inside. And a second building, D6, completed in 1938, a sister building known as the Wets Factory. This is where the creams and liquids were produced. Also on the list, Simpsons of Piccadilly. They're store by architect Joseph Emberton. The largest menswear store in Britain when it opened in 1936. It is now Waterstone's flagship store, and we can see the use of lighting for effect in the stairwell. Finsbury Health Centre, Pine Street in Islington, opened in 1938, designed by Bertold Lebetkin and the Tecton architectural practice. And one more building I'll show you. This is the Peter Jones store in Sloane Square, now part of the John Lewis Group, designed by William Crabtree and built between 1932 and 1936. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this series. Next time there's going to be a new topic, a new adventure in history, art, archaeology and architecture, and I hope you'll join me. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available. Or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.